Well, there is one important piece of this puzzle we haven't yet examined: the will of the Iranian people. What do they want? Joining me now is Dr. Iman Foroughtun. He's the chairman of the Board of Trustees at the Iran Liberation Congress. Dr. Foroughtun, let's start with that massive turnout today for Soleimani's funeral. Was that turnout, do you think, a legitimate statement of support and mourning, or was it forced by the regime in Tehran?
Hi, Derek. That massive show of people inside Iran was certainly a show. Our sources reported 2 days before these events in Tehran and other cities that the supreme leader and his team, they got together and they decided to spend $50 million during these 3 days of mourning. Government-backed 3 days of all the schools and all the government offices, and basically all the stores should be closed. As usual, they've given a lot of food coupons and a lot of stuff to the poor people of Iran, and basically forcing them, like every other event that they've had, for example, during the elections, for the people to come out and show support. This, if we remember, is totally opposite of what happened about a few weeks ago. 1,500 Iranian people, young men and women, children and women, were shot to death by the regime, by the revolutionary guards, in the head and in the heart, and their parents were not even allowed to have actually a ceremony after the 40th death, on the day of their kid's death. So this is in certain contrast. It was only for the show, especially for the international mainstream media, who get fooled by these show of people in the streets mourning for someone who is a terrorist, who has been killing the world 800, 700 U.S. soldiers and so on.
Well, but let me ask you, I mean, do you think overall the U.S. and Iran are closer to war breaking out? I mean, is Ayatollah Khomeini and President Trump, for his part, are they determined enough, crazy enough to make the first move?
President Trump certainly is not crazy enough, and he does not want war. Why? Because President Trump and his administration, for the first time in the last 40 years, supports the people of Iran, not this terrorist jihadist regime. On the other hand, I don't believe that the Iranian government has the guts or thinks that he can actually stand up to the United States. In fact, just yesterday, or maybe a few less than 24 hours ago, the new leader of the Quds came out at revenge for the death of Qasem Soleimani is with God, not for us. And the ultimate revenge is for the U.S. to be kicked out of U.S. That basically tells me they know if they have any action and they do anything stupid, unfortunately, they will be confronted with U.S. and with big powers.
All right. Well, Dr. Foroughtun, stay with me, because we're going to have much more on this issue, the crisis that's developing between the U.S. and Iran. All right, let's continue our discussion on the tension between the U.S. and Iran. Back with me is Dr. Iman Foroughtun. And Doctor, on the Iran nuclear deal, is that deal, do you think, a path to peace or a roadblock? Iran says it's done with it after the killing of General Soleimani.
The JPOA was always a false agreement. It was very misguided. It actually tried to separate all the malign activities of the IRI, the Islamic Republic, with regard to terrorism, with regard to their missiles and everything, from the nuclear activities. And that was not acceptable to the United States. And we had always, from the beginning, had said so. So therefore now, Islamic Republic has found another excuse and say, okay, you're going to do this. You killed Soleimani. We're going to get out of JPOA. Definitely, the Europeans will not like that. Very soon, it's going to go to United Nations Security Council based on the JPOA agreement itself, which basically means it will officially be dismantled, we believe.
But what do you say to European allies and to U.S. Democrats right now? I mean, they were pretty quiet during last month's deadly crackdown on Iranian protesters, but not so much now on these latest tensions.
Well, thank you for bringing this up. Unfortunately, in the United States, this whole democratic activities for the last 3 years of President Trump has been nothing but by politics. It was very obvious with the House's impeachment efforts. Nancy Pelosi had said from the beginning that it must be a bipartisan effort. As we know, no Republican voted for impeachment, and in fact, 3 Democrats voted against impeachment, with one of them switching parties to Republican. And therefore, this is exactly the same thing. Nancy Pelosi is trying to do her best to actually block Trump. It's not going to happen. The Senate is majority Republican. Senator Ted Cruz has said today that he intends to bring about a resolution to actually provide thank you letters to the people who actually did the work against Qasem Soleimani.
Well, Iman, you know, there's criticism circling in Washington that President Trump decided to strike Qasem Soleimani to try and change the narrative away from impeachment. Do you think that could be true?
I don't believe so. Qasem Soleimani should have been taken out many, many years ago, decades ago. He has been responsible for the killing of thousands of people worldwide, especially in Iraq and in Syria and Yemen, and supporting the Revolutionary Guard inside Iran against the people of Iran. But basically, you've got somebody who has been behind attacking U.S. embassy in Baghdad. He's 12 miles away for that, inside that, and it's basically a target of opportunity. I'm sure any wise U.S. president would have done that, and I do not believe that the U.S. president and the intelligence services did that just out of nothing and without having a thought through regarding the huge backlash that it may have.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this. How do you think the Iranian people are responding to President Trump's threat to take out Iranian cultural sites if Iran attacks U.S. targets?
That will be a very big mistake by the United States and President Trump. In fact, we're writing a letter to President Trump tomorrow specifying that, Mr. Trump, the Iranian people are proud of their cultural sites, unlike the Islamic Republic, who is not proud of the Iranian heritage. They're only proud of Islam and Sharia law and basically killing people and, torturing them. So therefore, attacking those sites will certainly work against the United States and its policy that at this point, we believe over 80% of the Iranian people support the U.S. policy.
All right, Dr. Iman Foroughtun, thanks for your perspective tonight.